Peep game, you know what it is. It's your man Skyzoo, Skyzoo, live from the borough. One time with the one and only AllHipHop.com. Day one with it, baby. You know how they doing it.
Tell everybody about the album. It's called Music for My Friends.
Yeah.
What's the concept behind that?
Oh, man, with the album, Music for My Friends, the idea is really, it's about my friends and I, you know, so it's literal in that sense. And it's really just stories about how we grew up, how we came up, and as opposed to seeing it through the eyes of being kids, the album's based around the ideas and thoughts of being 13 years old. But as opposed to writing stories as if I was 13, so speaking as if I was 13 years old at the time or whatever it is, it's really me speaking in the present day based on how I grew up and what I saw when I was 13. So it's this weird way of saying, okay, the way I see the world is like this because of what I saw however many years ago. And my friends see it the same way, but maybe even sort of different because we all came from the same place, but we weren't afforded the same opportunities. So it's really about those things and how whatever you see at 13, 14 years old shapes you to become whoever you are later on in adult life.
Talk about the production and the features.
As far as the album with the production, I mean, production comes from my brother Illmind, of course, Jalil Beats, Thelonious Martin, Apollo Brown, Ant-Man Wonder, the list goes on and on. Siege Monstrosity, it just keeps going, you know. And feature-wise, Jadakiss, Black Thought, Bilal, K-Cola, you know, a lot of that as well. El Zion, a bonus joint, and a couple other treats in there. My man West Side Gun. It's what's needed. Everything made sense as far as features and production. Everything made sense as far as how it was tied in together, you know.
How was it like working with Jadakiss? You know, he's a legend in the game.
Right.
You know.
The Jada record, easily one of my favorite records. You know, growing up, especially with the album being based on the thoughts of 13, 14 years old, when I was that age, Jada was everything. You know, I've done freestyles where I said, you know, 14 with a flow, I was underneath the block, thought Jadakiss was Jesus, I just wanted to be the Locks. Like, that was real, that really happened. You know, when I was a kid, I just wanted to be them. I was like, yo, Jadakiss is everything. Like, so to do that, for everything to come full circle is just a testament to everything I've been blessed to do thus far, as well as, you know, the stories that I'm telling and how it all comes home, how it all makes sense and just goes full circle, you know?
What happened to Torae on this joint? You know what I mean? I'm thinking I'm gonna see Torae.
Oh, man, yeah. As far as Torae, you know, Tor's my brother, you know, and we just did Barrel Brothers. So we both felt like we just gave people 14, 15 records. I don't know if they really got to hear us on another record again back to back, you know? So, you know, that's family always. That's fam for life. If we stop rapping tomorrow, we still brothers. We still crack jokes and bug out and kick it on the regular. But, yeah, you know, with this album, it really was just about my story. And I know he got his joint coming up as well, and that's about his. So we consciously was like, nah, we won't do anything because we just did something. You know what I mean? We just did 14, 15 records, which is still out there for purchase. You still spend $9.99. We'll still get that and bust that down, you know what I mean? So, you know, with this one, it really was just about my direct personal stories, you know?
Now, your approach to lyricism, you got some dense bars on this album.
Yeah.
Speak on your approach to lyricism, and do you feel like people will get it, like on the, you know, the mass scale? You know
Right. With the lyricism, you know, I grew up where you had to come with it to that extent. You know, we listen to Ready to Die, Reasonable Doubt, Illmatic, you know, we listen to all these different records only built for Cuban links. We still pick things, you know, I mean, last year, Nas celebrated 20 years of Illmatic. We still picking things out, you know. Jay's celebrating 20 years on Reasonable Doubt next year. We still picking things out. So with that being said, it's got to be that way because that's how I grew up. I can only do things the way I know. If I grew up in a different era or different genre or whatever it may be, then I may move a certain way. But being that I grew up this way, I can't do nothing but move the way I was raised, and that music helped raise me. So if they said, yo, you got to make music where it's dense and it's complex and it's lyrical and there's layers to it and people get some now and the rest later, that's what I got to do.
Did you read a recent editorial by GZA where he basically said lyricism is dead?
I didn't see that, but I would love to read it. Now that you're putting me onto it, I would love to, absolutely. Because he's another one who, you know, 95, I was all over Liquid Swords. You couldn't tell me nothing about that. The artwork and, you know, the Bible joint and everything. It was life to me, so I definitely want to get into that.
What do you think about older dudes like, you know, OGs, not even like on no disrespect stuff, but saying that lyricism is dead? Like, you know, what's your opinion on that?
Well, as far as the OGs and the vets in the game with that, I think they're seeing it. Their point of view is really what's out there in mainstream and what they may be listening to on the radio, you know, from a day to day and what's force fed. So I can't say that I really fault them for that, but at the same time, we all know, with the internet and with online SoundCloud and iTunes and whatever else it may be, there's lanes out there for people to drive in if they don't want to go in this direction. So if you're not feeling the direction of the radio and where that road is traveling, there's definitely all these other roads that you could jump on and get the lyricism and get what you need. But I understand what he's saying, because I think, and I'm sure he's privy to what's going on in the underground and what's teetering on the edge. But I think he means as far as what's being fed to the masses, the way Wu was fed to the masses, the way Big and Nas and Jay and Scarface was fed to the masses. I think when it comes to what's being fed to the masses nowadays, it doesn't really compete. So you may have underground kids, you may have the guys teetering on the edge who are out there and getting rep. As far as the masses, it's a different ball game. And if what's being fed to that side, which is a vast majority, doesn't compete or compare or doesn't continue to carry the baton and walk it through, then that could potentially be a problem. And I think that's what he's speaking on.
What do you think about New York rappers that sound like they're from the South?
As far as the difference in the sound with New Yorkers who bleed on the southern side or whatever it is, I've never really been a fan of that. I guess I get it because everybody trying to win. It really just comes down to that. If you were to close the door and ask them, why do you do that? If the door is shut and it's locked and it's soundproof, they're going to tell you, yo, we just trying to win, That doesn't mean I'm doing that, because I would never do that. And I got tons of love for the South. But the way I look at it is as when New York was running things as far as the sound and the region and our culture, the South never tried to be us. You didn't hear UGK trying to rhyme on Primo beats. You didn't hear, and that doesn't mean they didn't rock with them, because of course they did. But you didn't hear them trying to become us. They were them regardless of whether we got it or not, because they represented themselves. They represented their area, their region, and what they were about. And they hoped that you could relate somehow and then merge as one. But they never say, yo, this sound, this Preem Pete Rock sound is running the world, so we got to do that. They still was, 25 lighters on the dresser. They still was pocket full of stones, and we love them for that, because they were them, because it was like, okay, I never been to Houston or, Dallas or anywhere, or New Orleans, but I get what it's like because I hear it. The same thing with Snoop. When Snoop came out, at the time I had never been to, L.A., but I knew what it was like when I was 11, 12 years old when that dropped, because I heard that. So if you was from L.A. and you heard Big or Nas, you knew what New York was because you heard that. And it's just about that, man. And that's what I do with my music. That's what I attempt to do, and what I'm told I succeeded doing is making sure when you hear it, you're like, I never been to New York. I never been to Brooklyn. But I know exactly what it's like because I heard music from my friends. I heard a Dream Deferred, whatever it was. And there's a lot of other artists too, like Torae, like you mentioned, Joel Ortiz, a lot of other artists who do that as well. It's just about the light that lets outsiders know that it exists,
Now, you wrote this album present day as if you were 13 through 13-year-old eyes, but in a present day form.
Right.
But Brooklyn is different now. What are your thoughts on Brooklyn nowadays?
Oh, man. You got enough tape? Nah. I respect it because I understand it's about, upliftment and building something better. So if you got something that's beat down and you build it up and you make it right, you clean it up, you shine it and polish it, you want it to be what it is. But the people who had to deal with it when it wasn't that, they deserve to enjoy that. And my issue with gentrification isn't the fact that things are changing. It's the fact that things are changing for those who didn't have to deal with it before they changed. As somebody who was born and raised here, I saw what it was like when nobody wanted to come to the Sty, when nobody wanted to come to the Fort, when nobody wanted to come to Williamsburg or Canarsie, when, it was just a different time. And now that's starting to change. In certain places it changed already, and others it's starting to change. But they kicking us out. They saying, okay, yeah, we gonna change it and clean it up. Y'all dealt with this for 3 decades, 4 decades. We gonna change this and clean it up. But y'all gotta go. What do you mean? We the ones who suffered. These people was living in Ohio and in Arizona and Seattle and Detroit and whatever else. What do you mean? Like, yeah, they can come enjoy it. That's great. The more the merrier. But we shouldn't leave too. Like, come on, let's all enjoy it together. And that's the problem that I think a lot of people don't see with gentrification. The problem isn't the fact that it's changing. It's the fact that it's changing and kicking out those who were there before it changed.
Now, your album, just hearing it, reminds me of somebody that wants to leave a footprint, a legacy.
Right.
The word time capsule came in my mind.
Wow.
What I mean?
Okay.
So talk about that, like your legacy. Like, ultimately, what do you want that to be?
For me, my legacy is here to continue to push forward. So I feel like when you make the music should matter today, tomorrow, and the foreseeable future, and then some. So for me, it's like, okay, you make the music now, it matters today. It might matter tomorrow, but after that, then what? You know, it's forgotten about. There's a lot of guys that came out in 05, 09, 2012, we don't even remember. And you flip through an old hip-hop magazine and you like, oh, what happened to Son? You know, do that sometime. It's a crazy, it'll blow you away. You grab a magazine from 05 and go, yo, look at that up-and-coming section. Look at that. Oh, it's not what happened to Son. He had the biggest record out. It's not about that. For me, it's about making music that's here forever. Because all the records I named before, you know, we still talk about those records. We still listen to those records. Illmatic doesn't leave my phone, period. It doesn't. Like, I could clear my phone off and take everything off. Illmatic don't leave, you know? So it's about a kid being able to say, music for my friends don't leave my phone. The Salvation don't leave my phone. Dream Deferred don't leave my phone. That's what it's about. Because at the end of the day, when you've done that, you've left your mark, you've played your part, and the art matters, and you've put forward something in the world and contributed something to this. You know, we all here for a purpose and a reason, and it's to contribute. You know, whether it's art, whether it's affecting someone's life, whether it's, you know, academia, whatever it is, we're here to push forward. You know, so with that being said, that's my debt to society. That's my debt to the world, to be able to say, all right, I'm here for a reason. I was given this talent. I was blessed. Yo, let's put something forward that's gonna last as long as forever is. And that's what I'm here for. And whatever comes from it, fruits of the labor and all that is great. But it's really about being able to say, yo, this is here for now and forever.